Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Mod Fashion. My name is Kim and today I have a very exciting DIY for you. Today I am going to show you how to make your very own Ivy Park. So if you don't know what Ivy Park is the athleisure / workout gear that Beyonce has made. So when it first came out, she partnered with Topshop and I believe the collection did pretty good, but now she bought back the brand and she now has partnered with Adidas. When the collection first came out, I think it probably sold out in probably like 2 weeks, I don't know. So it's been sold out for some time now. So I'm going to show you how to make your very own sold out Ivy Park gear. You will get to make your own Adidas stripes and all of these separate pieces I will show you how to make, because this jacket is not one jacket. You could style it multiple ways. You could take the whole sleeve off, or you could separate it for some reason. If you wanted to, you could separate it here, so then you've just got like a little bib that's going on, which would look really weird and it would stay on. But you can style this jacket and wear it however you would like. And because I'm going to show you how to make your own, you can even make it in any color you would like. So I have made mine in a pink. Stay tuned and I will show you how to make it.
Okay, time to buy some fabric. I am making a DIY Ivy Park jacket and I need to buy some fabric. I think I am going to go with this one. Okay, so I'm getting 2 yards of this fabric and then now I need to get fabric for the stripes. I'm thinking I can just use some bias tape that is already pre-made. Invisible zippers for the pockets, and then one for the main zipper. A total of 52 snaps, which, I mean, God, that sounds so expensive. And if it gets too expensive, then I'm just not going to do it.
For the fabric, you're going to want 2 yards of a stretch knit. I got this from Joann's, so it was very expensive. So I decided to go for the fabric over the color. Joann's didn't have the particular color in the fabric that I wanted, so I got this because it was pretty stiff and I liked how much it looked like it would be a very good jacket. It's got a little bit of a stretch and it's gonna look just a little bit different, but I think it's still gonna come out pretty good. You're gonna need about 1 yard of a power mesh, and I got mine in white. You're going to need 2 invisible zippers for the pockets, 1 all-purpose zipper for the front, some bias tape, so these are going to act as our Adidas straps, and then finally you're going to need a fair amount of heavy-duty snaps. You're going to need some matching thread, some pins, and some fabric scissors. So these are all of the materials you will need for your project.
So you want to find a jacket that is pretty loose fitting, and this is what you're going to use as your template. So I have this blue jacket that I've had for a while and I'm just going to use this one. And first thing you need to do is you are going to trace half of the back of the jacket. So I just put
I just put some pins in so I could get the jacket lined up in the middle, and I'm taking the sleeves out so I can make sure that everything is laying flat. And so you just need to trace down the center back, and then you're going to trace the bottom, and then you're going to come up the side seam, go around the armhole all the way up to the collar, and then go back to the center back. Once it's traced, you can just darken up some lines. That's what I'm doing here. Now you need to trace the front. You are going to trace up the center front where the zipper is at, and then you are going to trace the side seam, and you're going to trace around the armhole, and then you are going to connect it at the collar up at the top all the way to the center front. Trace around your sleeve, and also trace the collar. So the front is split up into two separate pieces, so you need to draw a line from the bottom where the waist is at all the way up to the top, and you need to do that on the back and also the front. And once you have done that, you can cut it down the middle and separate your front and your back, and now you have two separate pieces. After you've finished tracing everything, the next important thing that you're going to do is add seam allowance. So here's my collar. Add 1/2 inch seam allowance all around. To the center front, you're going to add 1/2 inch where the zipper is going to be, and then 1.5 inch where the snaps are going to be. And this is going to connect to the side front. And at the side front, you're also going to add 1.5 inch where the snaps are going to be here. You're going to add 1.5 inch on the sleeve, on the armhole, because we're also going to put snaps here. At the top, you'll add 1/2 inch. On the side, you'll add 1/2 inch. Make sure you mark the spots where you will put your pocket. And then to the bottom, I have 1.5 inch. So that's the front. Now to the back. On the side back, you're going to add 1.5 seam allowance where the snaps are going to be here. 1/2 inch up here. 1.5 over here. 1/2 inch on the side, and then 1.5 at the bottom. And this is going to connect to the center back seam, where you're also going to have 1.5 inch seam allowance. This is going to get cut on the fold. Up here is going to be 1/2 inch, and then at the bottom is 1.5 inch. For your sleeve pattern, you're going to add 1.5 inch seam allowance here, and then 1/2 inch both the left and the right, and then a 1.5 inch at the bottom. Now that your patterns are done, it is time to get started on fabric. First thing you're going to want to do is take your side front and your side back, and we are going to add the Adidas straps. So you're going to grab your bias tape, and then you need to figure out the placement of the bias tape. And so we need to ignore This one, the seam allowance on the right and also the seam allowance on the left. So it'll be good if you can mark on your fabric the seam allowance for the right side and also the left side of the fabric. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my bias tape on all pieces, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, to get the most bang for your buck, so I bought this bias tape that is a double fold. So what that means is that it is double folded. We have a fold here and our fold here, and so then it comes together to make our double folds. So we've got one here and then another here, and so I don't need all of this extra stuff under here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it down the middle. So here we have one side front that has all 3 stripes on. So now I'm just going to go on machine and stitch all of these down. They need to be stitched on both sides. And so they're a little bit wrinkly right now. So before I do that, I'm gonna take it to the iron so that they can lay flat. And then the most important thing you need to do is make sure the space between all of your stripes are even. So let's go do that. This is just a small note, but my machine was already threaded with this color that I used for my last project. So now I don't have to change out my thread, and I'm excited about that. All right, let's do this. Once you have the stripes attached to the side front and the side back, now you're going to stitch them together at the shoulder. So I'm going to stitch this one, the left and the right, together. Make sure you add your lining before you actually stitch the side front to the side back. It is time to make some pockets. I forgot to cut out some pockets earlier, but I did mark it on my pattern. So I have the length that I need, and I'm just gonna kind of put my hand around and cut out a pocket shape. So I need to cut out 4 pieces to make my pocket. After you made your pockets, you're going to want to cover all of your buttons in fabric. So you're just going to need to get your button, and you're going to wrap your fabric around and then just glue it down. All caps have been covered, and now they are just, you can see I've got some glue, but they are now drying. Once they are dried, I will cut off this extra stuff. So these will be set aside for later. I am going to attach the lining of the center back to the center back of the fashion fabric. So right now I am just basting the pockets in. I've already attached one pocket front to one side, and now I'm going to baste the other pocket to the other side, and then I will stitch it down, or then I will attach the invisible zipper. So time to get this pocket basted. Okay, second attempt. So I was trying to figure out how to do this, because this is the side pocket. So what I decided to do was put the zipper down, and then I'm going to stitch this on top, so that when it gets flipped over, it will be underneath. So I think that's the order you should do, is put the zipper down and then attach the pocket to the top and then stitch the pocket down. After you stitch the pocket down on both sides, then you will join them together around and then it will turn inside out like that, and you will be able to zip your pocket closed. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to first attach this to the other side, and then I will attach this down, and then I will stitch my pocket closed, and then I will do it on the other side as well. Here are the side front and the side back sewn together. The zipper is done. They are stitched at the shoulder seam. Getting very close to being done. Now it's time to attach the lining to the center front, just like I did with the back. Now you're going to sew the sleeve on the sides, and then once your sleeve is sewn, you want to press the seams and open them up so that they lay flat. And you want to do that to both side seams, or both, sorry, not side seam, but both of the seams. And then once your sleeve is done, you're going to fold up the arm at the bottom, and that's where we're going to hide our elastic, but that we're not going to do that right now. But first, before you can do that, you need to measure elastic around your wrist, so you don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose, so you just need to measure it to your wrist and then cut 2 pieces. And I am planning out where I need to put the snaps, because I had a limited amount of snaps, so I need to figure out how many I can allocate to each part. And then once I have figured out how many I can put down, then I can mark on my fabric where I'm actually going to put those snaps. Before the snaps can be attached, the seam allowance needs to be folded in half. And so remember, we added 1.5 inch seam allowance, so there's going to be 3/4 folded. And then when it came to the sleeve, it'll help if you make some slits in the sleeve so that that curve will actually lay flat. And then you need to sew down the seam on the other parts that where the snaps are going to be. And we're going to stitch the collar closed. So you need to stitch it along that seam and make sure your cat does not mess it up. So stitch it along the seam, and then it's gonna open up, and then we are going to press that seam open. So once it's stitched, then we can press that seam open. After it's been pressed open, you're going to attach the center front to the collar, also the back, and then the center front. So left center front, right center front, and also the center back. And then you're going to stitch along that top line to attach all 3 pieces to the collar. Okay, here's zipper number 2. I first bought an all-purpose zipper thinking that I could open it up when I googled that, and you cannot do that. And so Now it's time to attach the zipper to both center fronts. So the way that you need to do it, you need to fold 1/2 inch in on the edge, and then you're going to place your zipper along that edge, so when it gets folded down up at the collar, it will be a nice hidden seam. And so that is what I planned to do, but then I realized that second zipper I bought was also the wrong zipper, so I had to go out and buy a whole new zipper, and I was getting so frustrated with the zipper. The first time I tried to attach the zipper, the fabric stretched while I sewed, so the zipper was way too short, so I had to seam rip it, and then I had to do it again, and it was just so frustrating. I really don't like zippers, but the second time I found a method that worked. Once the zipper has been stitched in, then you can also do a top stitch to give your zipper a nice looking professional finish. So here is the zipper almost fully done. There was an issue that I ran into, and I felt like I needed to address it before I moved on and called it done. Okay, so I shouldn't have done this, but I cut this off prematurely, thinking I did not need that, but it turns out it is like essentially the exact length I need. So now I have this like gap that is just so stupid. Oh, there's a bright light. I have this big gap that is just like so stupid. So what I'm gonna do, it's gonna stop right here, but what I'm gonna do is stitch this in, and it'll just kind of be like a placeholder, which I'm so annoyed with myself for this whole zipper situation. I bought 2 zippers that were the wrong zipper, and then I bought the right zipper, and then I cut it off, and now it's basically like it's the wrong zipper, and I'm just so annoyed. I hate zippers so much. They're so stupid. Time to place the snaps. So I just eyeballed it and I made some marks, and then when you are attaching your snaps, you need to put the cap on, and then you need to use the rounded edge, and then you're going to put your tool inside, and then you are going to hammer it down. I will attach a link for a video that shows you how to put snaps in. And you need to put all your snaps in. So there were 4. I decided to only do 4 for the shoulder sleeve seam instead of 5 like I had originally planned. So I put 4 on this side. I'm going to put 4 on the other side, and I'm going to do the same to the left side. To match up your sleeve snaps, you want to attach your sleeve, and then you can turn it inside out and then make a mark on the inside of the fabric. And I discovered that I had an eyelet tool that I figured I could try to use to put these snaps in. I think the tool is different, but it ended up working because it was so difficult trying to hammer in all of those, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to hammer in 32, and it just wasn't working on some of them, so it was so frustrating. So I'm so glad I have this tool because it made applying these snaps so much easier. Now it's time to turn the collar under, and I kind of messed up with attaching the collar on the zipper, so it's not going to have a perfect underturned line, but I tried to do my best, and so I'm just putting some pins in place, and then I'm going to stitch in the ditch because it was a little difficult trying to figure out how to attach this collar with this strange, I mean, this whole jacket has been so strange because it's in so many different pieces, so it was very difficult trying to figure out the order for everything. And then last thing that you need to do is stitch the collar up at the top edge so that those seams stay in place and it lays nice and flat. To finish the bottom edge and make sure everything lines up. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you subscribe to my channel and like this video. Make sure to share it with anybody who you think would like to make their own Ivy Park gear while it is still sold out. Or even if when it comes back in stock, you know somebody who would like to make their own Ivy Park gear in a particular color. And let me know if there are any other DIYs that you would like to see me do, because I'm not bragging, but I probably could make anything. So let me know what you would like to see me make and I will show you how to make it. Thanks. Bye.